I used to think keeping your head down was the smartest way to survive a dysfunctional family. Turns out, it just makes you the most convenient target. Growing up, my brother Max was the one with potential. He could miss curfew, fail a test, or light the backyard grill on fire and still get praised for being creative. Meanwhile, I got scolded for reading too much during dinner. Max got a new car at 16. I got a lecture about independence and a bicycle with one brake and a wobbly wheel. Mom would say, "Max just needs support." Dad would grunt, "You're the reliable one, Logan." Translation: Max was the investment. I was the insurance policy. By 24, I'd stopped expecting anything. I had my own apartment, a quiet IT business fixing and reselling refurbished tech, and exactly 0 people relying on me, except clients. And honestly, I liked it that way. I worked weekends, built credit, and ran every dollar through a spreadsheet. I wasn't flashy, but I was free. Max, on the other hand? He dropped out of business school after 3 semesters and decided to start a brand. Which, in his case, meant buying followers, printing 12 hoodies with a logo he designed in Canva, and constantly referring to himself as a visionary. The ask came at dinner. Saturday. Lasagna night. Mom's signature brick of overbaked noodles. We were all seated when Max leaned back, swirling a wine glass like it was a press conference. "So, Logan," he started, "you're doing well, right?" I gave him a slow look. "Define well." "You've got the business, the clients, the savings." He said savings like it was a character flaw. Mom beamed like she already knew where this was going. "I was thinking," Max said, "maybe you could help fund my next drop." "Next what?" He flipped his phone around. A few hoodie mock-ups, a sketchy Shopify page, and what he called a vision deck, which looked like it was typed in notes during traffic. "I just need a little boost to get production started. About 20 grand. I'll pay you back after the launch." I laughed. Genuinely. For the first time that evening. "You want $20,000? Max shrugged. "You'd be investing in family. Bro, you don't even know what inventory costs. You spelled fulfillment wrong in your pitch." Dad reached for more garlic bread like this wasn't the dumbest request of the year. Mom smiled. "He's just asking. No need to get defensive." "Defensive?" I said. "He's asking me to bankroll a delusion." Max leaned forward. "I'm asking because I trust you. You're the one who always fixes things." That part, ironically, was true. After dinner, I was on the patio with my laptop, my work laptop, fixing a payroll access issue for a nonprofit client. Max plopped down next to me with a beer, still riding the high of his absurd pitch. "You know," he said, "it's kind of selfish to hoard money when you could help someone grow." I didn't even look up. "You think hoodies with King Energy printed on the front is growth? Entrepreneurs take risks. So take your own." He scoffed. "You're always so uptight. Maybe that's why people don't invite you out." Then, and I'm not making this up, he reached over, picked up my open laptop, and held it over the pool. "Bro," I warned, standing up. He grinned. "Let's see if you can still work after a little baptism." And he dropped it. The splash hit before the rage did. I stared down at the pool as my $1,400 laptop sunk like the Titanic. The screen flickered underwater, my client's admin panel vanishing beneath chlorine and stupidity. Max just shrugged. "Oops." I fished it out with the pool net in silence. Dad came outside, saw me dripping, and asked, "What happened?" "Max destroyed my work computer." Max cut in. "It was an accident. Chill. Don't make a scene." Dad gave me the same tired look I'd seen my entire childhood. "We'll deal with it later." I nodded, dried my hands, packed the drown machine in a towel, and left. No shouting. No drama. No scene. But something in me cracked. For the first time in years, I wasn't just mad. I was done. When I got home that night, I laid the dead laptop on my kitchen counter like a body in a morgue. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't even wipe the water off. I just stood there, staring at the puddle forming underneath it, and whispered, "Okay." Then I grabbed a legal pad, cracked open a soda, and started writing. By Monday morning, I'd ordered a replacement machine using overnight shipping. I also spent $42 getting my backup drive professionally scanned, pulled every invoice, client contract, business license, and server credential I'd ever saved. Max thought he'd hit delete on my livelihood. What he didn't know is I had two-factor authentication on everything, and he just triggered a chain reaction. While the new laptop was syncing, I took a second legal pad and titled the page, "Accounts Max still has access to." I listed everything we'd shared growing up. Our parents' Amazon Prime. The shared Netflix account. Our old iCloud family sharing plan. That group Spotify membership I was still paying for. The Wi-Fi router password at my parents' house, I'd installed it. I circled each one and wrote, "Revoke." Then I opened a fresh spreadsheet and labeled the tab. Lockout Protocol. Step 1? Changed every password tied to my personal or business accounts. Step 2? Removed every remembered device from the cloud, including Max's old iPad, which I recognized from its name. Max_for real. Step 3? I installed a remote device blocker, one of those silent admin tools that allows you to trigger logouts across all synced platforms. And I did it without making a sound. See, Max had always mistaken my silence for submission. But he didn't realize I spent the last 6 years learning how to run networks. He threw a tantrum and sacrificed the laptop. I was about to sacrifice his access to comfort. It started with small things. On Tuesday, I removed him from the family Netflix account. No warning. Just gone. Wednesday, I disabled the Spotify premium plan and switched to a personal one. Thursday, I deactivated our old Hulu login, the one he bragged about still using at his girlfriend's place. I imagined him sitting there, popcorn in hand, staring at an "Oops! Something went wrong" screen. That image alone was worth the price of recovery. But that wasn't enough. Not for what he did. So I moved on to the main course, the router. Back when I was 19, I installed a mesh network in my parents' house to replace their garbage rental modem. I set it up under my account, admin rights, remote management, everything. Guess who never changed it? Friday night, I logged into the dashboard and renamed the Wi-Fi network from Markham_family to Max_O's_me_20K. Then I changed the password to something no one would guess. I waited. At exactly 9:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. "Dad. Wi-Fi down. Can you fix remotely?" Me. It might be a connectivity issue. Try asking Max to manifest better signal. Dad. Logan. Be serious. Me. I am. That weekend, I got a Venmo request from Max titled, "Chill Tax Skull," for $2. I declined it with a smile. Then blocked him. By Sunday, the phone calls started. Mom tried first. "You need to stop this," she said, like I was throwing furniture out a window. "You mean stop fixing my own life? Max is stressed. He says you're sabotaging him." I laughed. Sabotage? I haven't touched him. I've just removed me from the things he was using. Why are you being so dramatic? Funny. That's exactly what Max said right after he baptized my MacBook in chlorine. She huffed. Logan. Please. Don't escalate. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened my browser, pulled up Max's old business website, which I'd helped him build 3 years ago, and quietly changed the domain DNS. It redirected to a new page I made in 2 minutes. 404. Accountability not found. The next morning, Max woke up to 18 password resets, 6 streaming service errors, a dead Wi-Fi signal, and a Shopify store redirecting to a digital middle finger. But the best part? He didn't even know that wasn't the real revenge. That part was still sinking. The next morning, I woke up early. Not out of obligation, but instinct. For years, I'd been the one tiptoeing around, work shifts, studying, fixing things Max broke and swore he didn't. Now? I brewed coffee like a man with nothing to lose and everything to sort. The laptop Max had accidentally dropped had taken more than just my notes and freelance work. It had years of savings data, passwords, spreadsheets. All backed up, thankfully, but that wasn't the point. It was symbolic. He hadn't just dropped tech. He tried to erase proof of how hard I'd worked while he played entrepreneur with other people's money. And my dad? Don't make a scene. No apology. No outrage. Just that classic sigh, like I was being difficult for reacting at all. Like it was my fault for caring about a $2,000 machine, while Max smirked in swim trunks and ducked behind his aviators. I sat at the kitchen table, opened my spare laptop, and started typing. A document titled Project Reset. No yelling. No threats. Just bullet points. Actions. A blueprint. Because here's the thing. When people think you're the quiet one, they never imagine you're the one building escape routes, or cages. By lunch, I had the following items listed. Change every password. Revoke shared access to everything. Separate finances completely. Reassign logins and credentials I stupidly once let Max use. Just for that crypto thing. Schedule a call with the bank about removing Max's name from my co-signed backup account. Because there had been a time I trusted him. Years ago, when we were barely adults and Mom convinced me to just help your brother get started. That help included co-signing for a PayPal business account, using my credit to apply for software grants, even tying my Venmo to a shared promo project that, of course, failed. Max had always been charming. The kind of guy who could spill red wine on a couch and talk you into believing it improved the fabric. But not anymore. Now I was done with wine, stains, and his spin. Around 2 p.m., Dad came home from golf. That was code for sitting at the club, complaining about modern work ethic while Max texted him real-time screenshots of failed business pitches. He dropped his keys on the counter and paused when he saw me. You working from here today? He asked. No. Just organizing. He nodded like that was a good thing. Then sat down across from me, scanned the kitchen like it might speak first. He didn't ask about the laptop. Didn't mention Max. Just, your mother's thinking of redoing the living room again. I looked up. What, to make space for another rug no one walks on? He smiled. You always had that dry humor. Dry humor. The phrase they used to soften my sarcasm. To avoid calling it resentment. You know, he said slowly. Max was just under a lot of pressure. There it was. The pressure defense. As if breaking things, physical, emotional, digital, was noble if it came from stress. Right, I said. And I was under what? Decorative lighting? Silence. Then I added, you didn't even ask if my files were salvageable. He stared at his coffee. Were they? Most, I said. The rest's gone. He nodded. No, sorry. Just a tired hollow. At least it wasn't worse. That was their motto. Their entire parenting philosophy boiled down to, could have been worse. Don't make it bigger than it needs to be. They acted like Max dropped a fork, not a laptop full of tax records and contracts. Like I wasn't allowed to be angry unless something exploded on the evening news. So I said nothing else. Just sipped my coffee. Then quietly revoked every permission Max ever had on my accounts. From Dropbox to DoorDash. It was, in a word, therapeutic. That night, I slept like a boulder. No background anxiety. No mental to-do list about what Max might have borrowed next. Just blackout curtains, fan on low, and the slight buzz of satisfaction that only comes from knowing you're about to ruin someone's default access to your life, and they won't know until they try logging in. And Max? He had no idea yet. No clue his next login would fail, that his automatic withdrawals would bounce, that the little empire he built on shared codes and brotherly guilt was about to collapse. The best part? I didn't have to lift a single finger in anger. I just removed the ladder he thought he'd always climb back up. And in the morning, when he inevitably called, I'd be busy. Making waffles. With my own ingredients. And my own damn toaster. Max's first clue that something was wrong came when he tried to stream his usual late-night trash TV. Login expired. He texted the family group chat. Netflix down for anyone else? Mom replied with, works fine here. Dad sent a thumbs up. I didn't respond. He tried Spotify next. Error. Then DoorDash. Failed payment method. Then Shopify, where his brand lived. Nothing loaded. He called me. I let it ring. The next day, I got a voicemail. Logan. Hey man. I think something's up with the network or whatever. My site's not working. Can you check it real quick? He still didn't get it. Still thought I was the guy who fixed things. Still didn't realize I had quietly reassigned myself out of his orbit. Then came the kicker. He tried logging into the shared business PayPal account. One I hadn't touched in over a year, the one I'd helped him set up for his first drop. He got a prompt. This account has been disabled due to suspicious activity. He called again. This time I answered. Logan. Dude. I need help. I think someone hacked my stuff. I sipped my coffee. No one hacked you. Then what? Why is everything locked? Because, I said, you're not entitled to my keys anymore. Dead silence. You're kidding, right? You dropped my laptop in a pool. It was a joke. You killed a 5-year archive and smiled. He scoffed. Bro, this is petty. No, I said calmly. This is boundaries. That afternoon, I stopped by my parents' house to drop off a tax form Mom asked for. As soon as I stepped in, Dad gave me the look. You know the one, what did you do now? Dad glare they reserved for the wrong kid. He folded his arms. Max said you've been messing with his accounts. I've been managing my own. You locked him out of PayPal. I removed myself. I'm not tied to his projects anymore. He says his site's down. Sounds like a hosting issue. He says you changed the Wi-Fi? Didn't change it. Just updated it. You're welcome, you've got better security now. He rubbed his temples. Logan. Why are you doing this? Because no one else ever holds him accountable. You didn't have to be cruel. Cruel? I laughed. Cruel was watching him destroy my business laptop while you asked me not to make a scene. He looked away. Didn't argue. Didn't apologize. Just said, you know your mother's been upset. She's always upset when Max isn't happy. Another pause. Then he muttered, she just wants peace. Then she should have raised diplomats, not demolition crews. I dropped the envelope with the tax form on the counter and left. That night I got another text from Max. You've made your point. Congrats. Just fix the site, man. No. Sorry. No ownership. Just fix it. I didn't even reply. Instead, I logged into the DNS panel, added a timer, and set the domain to redirect back to his Shopify site. In 6 days. A nice, biblical number. Let the brand rest, reflect, and resurrect itself, if he could even figure out how. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need drama. I just needed Max to feel, for once, what it was like to build something alone. Without someone bailing him out. And next morning? He tried logging into his Gmail. Guess who set it up for him originally? Guess who still had recovery access? Guess who just removed it? Me. 1 click. Send. By Wednesday, Max had entered stage 3 of meltdown, group chat warfare. At 10:42 a.m. A message lit up the family thread. Max. It's actually insane how petty some people get over a laptop face with rolling eyes. Mom. Let's all stay calm. Max. I'm calm. My bank account's not. Dad. Logan, please call your brother. Max. Oh, now he's your son again? I didn't respond. Instead, I screenshotted it, cropped out my name, and filed it in a folder titled Family Circus, Season 26. What Max hadn't realized yet was that I hadn't just shut off his creature comforts. I'd been quietly deactivating every dependency he had on me. Removed my name from the PayPal Biz account. Reassigned the hosting service he piggybacked on for his brand. Cut off admin privileges on the promo email list I'd once built for him. Just until he learns MailChimp. And the cherry? I redirected all bounce-back customer complaints from his brand site straight to his personal Gmail. I didn't reply. But his customers did. A few hundred of them. At 1:03 p.m. Max called again. I let it ring. At 1:08 he texted. We need to talk. I just got a call from Brian. He says you contacted him about the collab. Brian was a business contact of mine, a real one. We'd met at a conference. He ran a logistics company, did occasional freelance manufacturing work. Max had pitched him a limited run of hoodies last year, and ghosted him. I hadn't reached out. But Brian had reached me. Turns out, when Max's Shopify page redirected to 404, accountability not found, Brian had Googled the registration info. Guess whose name showed up on the original LLC docs? Mine. Why? Because years ago, when Max needed a cosigner and someone with a legitimate credit score, I was that guy. I'd filled out the form. Paid the filing fee. Even added a registered address, mine. Max thought I forgot. I didn't. So when Brian called me asking if I was finally stepping in to clean up the mess, I just said, no. I'm finally stepping away from it. He chuckled. Smart. We talked for 10 minutes. By the end of it, Brian said, if you ever start something legit, call me first. That evening, Mom called. I answered. Logan, honey, she began, using the voice reserved for holidays and legal documents. Max is feeling very isolated. Max isolated himself, I said. She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath since 1999. He's been crying. So did my bank account when he overdrafted the shared business card. That was a misunderstanding. It was theft. I just didn't press charges. She hesitated. Don't be dramatic. I didn't speak. Fine, she snapped. But your father and I agree, this has gone on long enough. I sipped my tea. So what's the solution? You forgive your brother. You fix what you broke. What I broke? The Wi-Fi. The accounts. His reputation. I laughed. His reputation died of self-inflicted wounds. I'm just keeping the obituary short. She hung up. At 7:18 p.m., I got a text from Max. Congratulations. You've proven your point. Hope it was worth burning everything. I stared at it for a long time. Then typed. You dropped a $2,000 laptop in a pool and called it a joke. I stayed silent. You didn't ask to fix it. You never said sorry. You just kept asking for more. He replied instantly. I didn't think you'd go nuclear. I didn't. This wasn't nuclear. This was maintenance. The kind you do when the pipes are rotted and leaking poison. At 10:03 p.m., a random number called. I almost ignored it. But something told me to answer. Is this Logan Markham? Yes. This is Emmeline Gwynn with Veritas Credit. We're following up regarding the Markham Merchants account. I blinked. I'm sorry? The LLC? It's showing a flagged balance of $4,221. 65 tied to unpaid fees on a manufacturing invoice from 6 months ago. I froze. And, she added, because your name is listed as primary on the original registration. Of course. Max had put debt in my name. And now it was knocking at my door. I barely slept that night. Not because I was panicking, but because I was calculating. $4,221. 65. That's what Max owed under the LLC. My name was still tied to it. And the woman from Veritas Credit? Calm. Professional. Dead serious. We've sent several notices, she'd said. Of course they had. To Max, who probably tossed them in the trash while calling it a vibe cleanse. At 7 a.m., I made coffee and pulled up my old business docs. Found the LLC filing. Checked the responsible parties. Sure enough. Max, managing partner. Logan, registered agent and co-founder. Right there in bold. Which meant legally? I was liable. I took a screenshot, attached it to an email, and sent it to myself with the subject line: Exhibit A. Then I spent the next 2 hours gathering everything else. Bank statements. The original invoice from the manufacturer, dated 7 months ago. 3 emails Max forwarded me back then, including one where he said, "No worries, bro, I got it covered, lol." Texts where he told me, "Everything's paid off." I dumped them all in a folder labeled Legal Fire. At 10:14 a.m., I called Max. He answered on the first ring. "Hey, you got my text?" "No," I said. "I got a call. From Veritas Credit." Dead silence. "I know," he said finally. It's not a big deal. It's over $4,000. I was going to pay it. You used my name. You said we were partners. That was 3 years ago. Well, I didn't think they'd still." I cut him off. "You didn't think, period." More silence. "I just needed time." He muttered. "You've got savings. You're fine." I blinked. "You think me having savings means I should pay off your debt? You make more than I do." I also didn't destroy a laptop and call it a prank. Come on, man. I hung up. At 12:30 p.m., I drove to the county clerk's office. Filed a formal dissolution notice for the LLC. Cost me $25.15. Then I stopped by the bank and officially removed my name from all tied accounts. Next stop? A lawyer. At 3:47 p.m., I sat across from a woman named Kayla Jensen. Sharp. Quiet. Looked like she ate depositions for breakfast. I explained the situation. She didn't flinch. "Do you have documentation?" I slid the folder across the table. She flipped through it once, then smiled like she'd just drawn a royal flush. "You've got a case." By 5 p.m., Max texted again. "Bro, Mom says you're being extreme. Just let it go." I replied with a single attachment. A PDF of the invoice. Labeled Final Notice. He didn't respond. At dinner, Dad called. "What's this I hear about lawyers? You'll have to be more specific. Logan, you're taking this too far." He used my name. My credit. My trust. I'm sure he didn't mean. Intent doesn't erase impact, Dad. Pause. Your mother's very upset. She always is. Logan, you should be upset for me. Just once. He didn't know what to say. Which was fine. Because I had plenty to say, in court if needed. That night I opened Instagram. Max had posted a story. A photo of a beach. Caption: "Nothing can break me 100 points." I screenshotted it. Then sent it to Kayla. She replied in 2 minutes. "Thank you. That's helpful." Max had no idea that the worst was still coming. I wasn't ruining his life. I was closing unpaid tabs. And he'd spent years ordering everything on mine. 2 days passed. Max didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't post. Which, in his world, meant something was deeply, catastrophically wrong. He only went quiet when he couldn't spin it. Meanwhile, Kayla, my lawyer, worked fast. She sent a formal debt liability transfer request to the collections agency, with full documentation proving Max had claimed responsibility for the order, used his company card, and failed to notify me of any outstanding balances. It wasn't guaranteed to erase me from the debt, but it was a solid move. Then came the cease and desist letter. Sent straight to Max's registered mail. Signature required. At breakfast the next morning, Dad called again. He skipped greetings. "Did you really send your brother a legal letter?" "Yes." "He's devastated. Is the letter the part that hurt him?" I asked. "Or was it the mirror?" Silence. "You're really burning this bridge, huh?" I swallowed a bite of toast. "You think I'm burning it? I think I'm finally acknowledging that it never went both ways. He's your brother. He was my liability. That afternoon, I ran into Aunt Carla at the grocery store. She gave me a pity smile over the avocados. "We've all done things we regret," she said. "Sure," I replied. "But Max does them with zero regret." Her smile faltered. "I just hope you boys can reconcile before the holidays," she offered weakly. "We will," I said. "Just not on the same guest list." Then came the cherry. At 6:15 a.m. on Monday, right on cue, Max woke up to discover his credit card? Frozen. His Shopify merchant account? Closed. The last trickle of auto deposits from an old affiliate deal? Rerouted. And worst of all, his login to our parents' home Wi-Fi failed. Why? Because I'd updated the network and forgot to tell him. Oops. That same morning, I got a message. Not from Max. From Brian, the business contact he'd ghosted months ago. "Just saw your name pop up again. Max finally admitted you were the adult in that setup. Hope you're free for a quick call?" We spoke for 30 minutes. He offered me a consulting contract. I said yes. Not out of spite. Out of freedom. By noon, Max had texted twice. "I can't believe you locked me out of everything. You're ruining my life over a stupid laptop." I replied once. "This isn't about a laptop. It's about everything that came before it, and everything you thought would come after." He sent back. "You've changed." I stared at the screen for a moment. Then typed. "No. I stopped changing for you." At 3:45 p.m., I opened a fresh document. Named it New Terms. It wasn't for Max. It was for me. No more unspoken expectations. No more default rescues. No more free access to the systems I'd spent a decade building, while he mocked the structure and lived off the stability. Max could rebuild if he wanted. But this time? He'd be using his own tools. And if they got wet? That was his problem. The letter from Veritas arrived Thursday morning. Thin envelope. No drama. Just a line confirming the debt transfer was processed. Max was now the sole liable party. No more surprises tied to my name. No more checks bouncing because he couldn't budget. No more fake business meetings that doubled as beach trips. I folded the letter neatly, slid it into a file labeled "Close tabs," and placed it in my cabinet. Just under Family LLC, never again. Later that evening, I got a text from Mom. "You've made your point. But blood is blood." I stared at it. Then typed back. "Passwords change. So do priorities." And that was that. Max never apologized. He never asked how I was doing. But I didn't need him to. Because 3 weeks later, I got a package. No return address. Inside? A Ziploc bag. And inside that, a laptop. My old one. Still water damaged. Still dead. Still cracked from the dive. On the screen, someone had taped a sticky note. "Guess I owe you one." I didn't laugh. Didn't cry. Just put it on a shelf as a reminder. Some people never learn. And some of us? Never hand over the password again.